fine. Hi loves, hi loves, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let me be serious, okay.
It's the original Batman. One time, it's a bad man thing. It's body, baby.
Hi loves, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In case you are new here, my name is Bantu, just a Bantu. You can call me Bantu. Yeah. I've not done YouTube for so long, I don't know how to talk to a camera. But today I wanted to tell you guys a story time that I did on TikTok the other day, and people really laughed at me and everything. So the story is about my first time traveling international, first time going to Europe. Me going to be a European at TNO. It was in last year, 2022. So that was around February. No, actually it was in Jan when we started applying for a visa. We really wanted to go to Spain. In case you don't know, a lot of Europeans, especially Norwegians, go to Spain for the sun, for a better weather basically. So my fiance and I wanted to go to Spain, and I applied for the tourist visa, but I got denied. My visa was denied. I don't know why it was denied, but it was denied. I really have a vague memory of that visa, but anyway, now because that one was denied come March 2022, we decided to try for a visit visa. I factored in summer because my fiance was keen on me going to Norway when it's summer, because he was scared. He already saw how much I complain when it's cold in Kenya, so he wanted me to go to Norway when it's hot so that I like it. Anyway, I applied for the visa in March. I was to leave in July, right? Yeah, I think I left in July. I think July date 3. I left early July basically. So I applied for the visa in March and I got the visa. I think it took like 2 weeks. I think it took around 2 weeks and I got the visa. I was shocked because at this point I was like, ama nitanyimwa. Like, I was so negative, but I was shocked I got the visa. So when I got the visa, when I got the visa, I booked the flight, and I think I knew like 1.5 months before traveling. So I had already booked, I had set everything, it's just waiting for traveling. So the D-Day finally comes. My sister came, she visited me, she took me to the airport, she helped me pack. Fun fact, I don't know how to pack. At my big age, I cannot pack. That sounds bad, but I don't know how to pack and I don't like doing it. So my sister and my fiance did it for me. Classic last born behavior, but yeah. So my sister came and helped me pack, and we packed the clothes, and then I wanted to get to the airport like so early before my leaving time, like very extra early. So she came. Oh wow, I forgot, she came, my sister came, her best friend, and my best friend too was there. So they took me to the airport. I think we got there at around a few minutes past 8, a few minutes to 9, 8 to 9, somewhere there. Nimeingia ndani. This day there were so many people at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Like, whoa, there was a long queue. When I say long, just know it was long. So we queued and queued and queued and queued and queued. If you've ever traveled outside Kenya, then you know that when you get out of Kenya, just before you go to the check-in, there are ladies there who look at your passport and your visa and everything and your flight, you know, just they look at all that. So I gave them my passport, they looked at it, that was easy. So now I started to just wait to get to the front part and just give out my passport and check in my luggage, okay? So I have my 2 luggages, 23 kgs, and the hand luggage, which was 10 kilos, yeah, and then I had my laptop bag kwa mgongo. So I get into the front line, I check in. My bag was extra, it was heavier by like almost 1 kilo. So the lady is like, madam, fungua bag, open up your bag and like remove some things from this bag and put it in the other bag. Yo, please tell me why when I open my bag, things like, my sister, I don't know what was on the top, but my bag, like nywele nilikuwa nimebeba braids, braids zikaanguka kwa floor, like yo, it was like just a very very funny scene. So ni mimi nianze kutoa nikiweka kwa hii bag ingine, so but finally it balanced ikakuwa hiyo 23. I checked in my bags. You pass through those gates, hata sikumbuki inakuangaje. You pass through the Kwaheri Kenya, right? Yeah, you pass through the Kwaheri Kenya where everyone takes a photo. The Kwaheri Kenya. So you pass through that, and then I got to the top. At this point, I was hungry. Ushaisikia njaa? I was so hungry. I had not, I think, eaten for supper. I bought a soda. Kuna Java hapo ndani, right? There's a Java, so I bought a soda. Please tell me why this guy tells me soda is 260. Was it 260 or 280? One of those. Mina ujinga yangu, me I've had the soda is like the 60 boboma and the 80. So I pay that and then I'm ready to leave. And then like, madam, si tumekuambia soda ni tu. I felt so embarrassed. So I had to top up the 200 bob, and then of course I just went. So then I went to get now. Inaitwaje when you like put all your bags, and inaitwa kuskaniwa. Security, could go through security. So they checked all that, and then now we were able to go to the last part, which is where now they check again your visa, your return flight, your everything. Yeah, so they checked that, and then I finally got onto the plane. Remember, the flight is supposed to leave at midnight, right? This flight was delayed. I want you to remember the fact that this flight is delayed. So we ended up leaving Nairobi at around, I think, 1 something, almost 1:30, somewhere close to 1:30, somewhere there. So this is the midnight flight. I think it takes 8 hours from Nairobi to Amsterdam. Yeah, it's 8 hours, even though now you land in Amsterdam when it's 7 in the morning, but in Kenya it's 8 a.m., right? So I get to Amsterdam, because it was delayed, I get there 1.5 hours late, right? My layover in Amsterdam was 1.5 hours. So by the time I am landing, nianze kukimbia from one gate to the other gate through customs and everything. Of course I'll be late, because the flight is literally leaving by the time I'm coming in. So long story short, nimeanza kukimbia, nimekimbia. I'm looking for, I don't know if it's inaitwanga aje, but I've noticed it's the same gate. I always, the 2 times I've gone, it's the same gate for leaving to Stavanger. I'm trying to look for this gate, okay? So I try and run. I run. I go through passport control. If you've ever been to Amsterdam Schiphol, you know the passport control. And this lady is like asking me questions. She's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to Norway. What are you going to do to Norway? I'm going to visit my fiancé. Why are you going to visit your fiancé? Why couldn't he come? I was like, no, he came recently, so I'm going to visit him. Maki, at this point, I cannot hear, because they're in these glass doors. They're wearing their masks. They're all this, like, you barely cannot hear. Oh, nashtuka, your heart is beating, because you don't know what's happening. Like, again, it's your first time. And at that time, I had already switched on my phone. I had removed it from flight mode. So I keep on getting notifications that, hey, your flight is boarding. Hey, your flight is unajua, like all that. Hey, so finally, I think at that point, this woman thought that I am dating a Kenyan who's visiting Norway. Yeah, you understand? But later on, like, we came to an understanding, and I told her, no, my fiance is Norwegian, so I'm visiting him there. So immediately I told her that akaniekea stamp kwa passport. So she stamped my passport. So after she stamped my passport, now I start running, because like from this point you're running from the passport control now to the Stavanger part, and it's a long way. It's, if you're walking, I think you walk for like 20 minutes from, like, that airport is big. It's a long time. So ndo huyo mimi nimekimbia. I'm running because I thought maybe because that flight was delayed, this other flight was also delayed, because there was a strike in Amsterdam. Like, the airport workers had striked because of, I think, high cost of living, and they wanted a pay increase and all that. So I thought, because that was also one of the reasons why our flight from Kenya was delayed, I thought that's also the reason why. I thought it would also mean that this other flight would also delay, and maybe I'd managed to get there. So I run, I get to that gate, and immediately I get there is when I see the flight leaving. Yo, let me tell you, Maina, I just started crying. I started crying. If you know me in person, I am recently very emotional person. I started crying like a baby, crying left, right, center. I wanted Wi-Fi, right? Nataka Wi-Fi, so that I talk to my partner and tell him, hey, I've missed the flight and I'm stuck in Amsterdam, right? I don't know what I thought. I thought like Atikosabu, I'm stuck in Amsterdam, I'd have to like go back home. I don't know what I thought. I was not like thinking straight, but I was crying. So I start walking back towards where I came from, and then I met with these guys that drive the airport cars. See, the people that drive the airport cars, the ones that carry the pregnant women, the old women, the old men and women, like, you understand, the sick people. There's that car that they drive. So I meet two of them. One of them like looked very friendly, so I was crying as I give him my phone, and then I tell him, can you please tell me how I can get Wi-Fi? So this man is like, no, you have Wi-Fi, just connect the Wi-Fi. I'm crying. I'm like, I don't know how to do it, just do it for me. So I give like, do it for me, Ndiohi. I'm like, do it for me, Ndiohi. So this guy takes the phone and then he like connects it, and then he's like, Ndiohi, there, you have your Wi-Fi, you can now talk. Yo, at this point I'm crying and I'm still telling them, thank you. So I go immediately to call my partner, and then I'm like, hey, my flight has left me. I don't know what to do. So I am crying. I was crying uncontrollably. At this point, I'm even thinking like, why was I crying? Now that I know better, but I was just like, why was I crying? So I called him, and then he was like, relax, take it easy, breathe. And then this day, my periods decided to start just that day I was supposed to leave Kenya. Literally in the morning, they started that day. So it's literally the first day of the period, Bado, and you're flying, and your flight was delayed, and you know, like nooks, like all these things combined. And if anything, I've even talked about it recently, I have the worst cramps. I have the worst cramps. So at this point, I'm cramping so bad. It's the first day of your menses, and like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. So he tells me, like, first of all, just go look for a restaurant, try and get something to eat, because you've not eaten. I know you've eaten the food at the plane, but it's not the best. Look for somewhere first of all you eat, and then if you can, pass by the KLM desk and then check and see what time your next flight is. So I go and queue. I see so many people. I go back and I see where the KLM stand is, like where their stand is. So I see some ladies wearing the blue dresses, and I'm like, hey, I missed my flight. What can I do? So she just hands me over a note, and then she says, I'm sorry about that. That's all she said. So again, I call my partner, and then he's like, oh, what do I do? I've missed my flight and they're not telling me anything. And then he told me, go to the self-check desk and then see. And then at that time is when I realized also KLM had told me that I've missed my flight, and they've reconnected me and booked for me another flight. Like, I had not seen the message before that. So I go and check my flight, and they had gotten, I think, a 10 p.m. flight. Mind you, I've gotten to Amsterdam at 9 in the morning, 10, and then they've booked me a 12-hour later flight, 10 p.m. So first I just went, I looked for somewhere to drink coffee. I drank, I think, a coffee and a croissant. And then, like, at this point, my emotions were a little stabilized. I was not crying uncontrollably like a baby. And then I just sat down, and then I was like, okay, so what next? So I started walking, and then I got somewhere where there was a bench, and then I just sat there, and then I was like, let me see if I can pass time here. So as I sit there and I'm letting time pass, I meet a lady who is a subscriber here on YouTube. I wonder if she still watches my YouTube videos. So she comes to me, and then she's like, hi, I know you from YouTube, my name is XYZ. And I was like so happy to see her. And then she's like, I saw you on the same flight, I saw you when you're going to the toilet, can we chill together? So I was like, yeah, we can chill together. So we chilled together. We ended up talking story. I think she's going for a conference in Germany. Yeah, she's going for a conference in Germany. So we ended up talking. We looked for a restaurant. We went and embarrassed ourselves because for some very weird reason my Visa card and my MasterCard was not working in Amsterdam. So you know, like how they usually like you request for the food, you order the food on that big screen. When you come to paying, my Visa card was not paying. Hers was also not paying. And before you say maybe we didn't have money in the cards, no, we had money, but it was just not working. So anyway, we went to the counter, we asked the lady and the cashier, and then she was like able to, like, we could just tap and then yeah, we pay. So after that we walked through the shops, we went window shopping, we bought some things, we did all this. At this time I think it was almost 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. She had gotten a 6, her flight was also, she also missed her flight, so I think she got a 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. flight. So we went, and then I just told her we go look for the gate where she's supposed to board, and then we just now came down, sat and talked. So we talked, really had a good time. We really bonded over those hours, and like she made that waiting worth it. Ama like alifanya at least time iende haraka basically. So after that her time for boarding almost came, so I took her to, I think, did I take her to her gate? I don't remember if I took her to her gate or like she left, but yeah, so I was just left there seated, and then finally my time to board came, and then I boarded my flight, and then I went to the gate like, yeah, I think 1 hour before, and then I just sat there and then I just waited to board. So anyway, I boarded the flight, and then I was like seated. I remember my partner insisted on, since it's my first flight, I should book window seats just so that I can have a good view, and mnajua, like a good view and all that. So I had a good view. I sat at the window, but then just before the flight left, there was a white man seated next to me, and I remember he went and whispered something to the air hostess, yeah, and then like I didn't see him again, so I think he got another seat somewhere, so I sat by myself the whole time. I mentioned this on Instagram, and people were like, oh, that was like racist, maybe he didn't want to sit next to you. Maybe that's the case, but maybe that was the case, but the good side is I ended up sitting by myself. So it was like a 1 hour, I think 10-minute flight. I mean 1 hour 20 minutes, somewhere there, 1 hour 30 minutes, somewhere between there, from from Amsterdam to Stavanger. So just before I left Stavanger, of course, I called my partner and told him I'm leaving, because in Norway we live far away from Stavanger. We don't live in Stavanger, so like you need an hour to drive, 40 minutes or an hour to drive depending on the traffic. So I told him I've left. I fly from Amsterdam, I get to Stavanger Sola airport, and I get there, and it was a big culture shock. Now that I think about it, at that time it was not a big culture shock, but it was a big culture shock. How? When you land in Sola, when you land in Stavanger, like there's no airport staff, there's no security check, there's no, like all that. Now that I know how things are in Kenya, thinking about it in Norway, it's like so different. Like the moment you land, the bags, it's written like, hey, if you've landed from this flight, your bags are in this belt, and just like that. So I walked to the belt, I picked up my bags, and then I took the trolley, I pushed my things, and I came out. I saw my partner, he was there waiting for me with his mom. I hugged him, I started crying again. I was crying, I was like, finally I'm here. But I was so exhausted, because think about it, I had not slept on the airplane, and I had literally been awake for 24 hours. Hey, I was so tired, and again I have cramps. I have like, I was just a walking zombie. So anyway, fast forward to that, one of the things I later on came to learn that I think is also helpful is that when your flight is delayed in and out of EU region, I think you're entitled to compensation. So make sure you check on that, because that's something I did not know. But you're entitled to compensation by the airline. And yeah, I think, I don't remember the name of the website I used for my compensation, but I'll try and link it in the description box. Okay, I'll link it in the description box. But because my flight was delayed in and out of EU. So unaona, like because of this flight leaving late in Kenya, the other flight was like delayed. Of course I understand they did try and get me the nearest flight they could get, but still it was delayed and I sat there for so long. So I think I was compensated 600 euros. Yeah, it was 600 euro, but the agency, the website I used took a percentage of it. But after that I paid for a subscription, just so that if that ever happens again. Anyway, that's TMI, but yeah, I was entitled to a compensation and I was paid back. In case you didn't know, you can. If your flight is ever delayed from EU, you are allowed to compensation a few months, I think 2 months later, because I didn't know about it. Genuinely speaking, I did not know about it. So yeah, that was my first time flying, and I think after that, flying back and all that was not so hard. But I can tell you about coming back to Kenya from that trip. My bags were needed in JKIA because of Marash. I had a lot of perfumes. That's a story for another day. That's a story by itself. But you see, if you know, you know. Like my suitcase had an X, and yo, those people gave me trouble. But that was my first time flying from Kenya to Europe. It was a very good experience. Other than the crying and the being emotional part, I think I learned so much because of that experience. I was able to learn Schiphol. Like now I really know Schiphol like the back of my hand. Kwanza hiyo, like where to get your flight to Amsterdam and the shops. I know which shop has a discount for what. Like I know it because of that day, because tulizurura hizo maduka na nini. I just recently learned that there's a bookshop and yeah, there's a bookshop in Amsterdam. But in regards to the shops, I zungukad everywhere and I know where everything is. But it was a very, very good experience because of that, like I said, I know Schiphol like the back of my hand. I learned so much and I had a good experience. It was a very nice experience going to Europe. Like, it's just a very different perception from how people are not on the road to how people rarely walk, to the cold. It was summer, but I was feeling so cold and all that. Anyway, make sure you like this video and I'll try and come back with more story times. Leave a comment and maybe like suggest what stories you'd like to hear from me, and I think I'll see you again in my next video. Okay, make sure you subscribe and like this video to support me. When you like my videos, it pushes it to more people, so subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, do all the amazing stuff, and I'll see you again in my next video. Okay, bye.